15. Oh yes, I'm sorry. All right, we're going to get underway.
We're still muted.
Still.
There we go.
All right, now it looks like our audio is on. We're going to get started here. I'll call the meeting, the county's Commissioner Finance meeting to order today, January 13. And we don't need a roll call. We'll just go into it. We have the minutes of our November 25 meeting in hand. We need action on that. Anyone care to move?
I'll move to approve the minutes of November 25th, 2020.
Second. It's moved and seconded. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, that brings us to our topic for the day regarding tax collector compensation. We have a number of folks with us. In person, we got Mike Lang, the Hampton Township tax collector. Is Debbie Wiest and Debbie Loophole are listed as being potentially joining us. They're on. Okay, we welcome them as well.
Can we by chance get them on the monitor?
So
Where is it?
Debbie Loophole had to call in because
Okay.
her speakers weren't working on her computer.
Okay.
But let me just send a chat message.
And if they don't want to, that's fine also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Well,
it's okay.
we'll go ahead and get started. And let Mike John has plenty to say, so I'm assuming he's going to be talking. So, go
I'm
ahead.
concerned on the topic of the day. I don't know how to take that.
Debbie's on.
Oh, there she is. Okay. Well, as you know, the next year, or this year, is the last year of the term for tax collectors, and that's why by February 15 of this year, any changes in compensation for tax collectors, should be set by resolution or this resolution that we passed. So I'm here to present our case because we're talking among ourselves, and it was a matter of, hey, how much, what do we want to ask for? Because we go to CPI, and we go inflate, what, how do we do this? And so I sat down, they asked me if I would look at it, and I sat down and I was going through different things. And our situation is, quite a bit different because of, and I hate to be beating this dead horse, 2009, when the change was made from a commission basis to a per bill collected basis, change the payment to us. And that change, I was brand new at the time, so I didn't really know, what was going on. But when I saw the numbers on this thing, it didn't make any sense to do this because, as my write-up states, there was about 4 or 5 tax collectors that realized a small gain out of it, and 20-some took a loss on it. And the overall effect was, a savings to the county. And about that same time, my experiences, not only in the county but other areas, were starting to show me that, tax collectors were getting like a bad rep here for various reasons. Because that cut and pay from the county was also experienced in different areas around the state. And some of those other areas contested it and sought, legal counsel on it. But at that same time, then the legislature was catching wind of this, and they empowered the Legislative Budget and Finance Committee to do a study on it. I'm a retiree from the state. I had some dealings with that group, and I found when I was dealing with them, I found them to be, very good at what they did. So they figured they were going to do a study. It'd be interesting to see it. But I think much to everyone's surprise, when the report came out in June of 11, it was very complimentary of the tax collectors. Basically, it was an efficient, economically good way of doing things. So that was kind of a redemption for the tax collectors. But nonetheless, still the change had taken place in that first term. So in 2010, they did go with per bill basis, $1 bill. And you'll see my schedule here showed that as a result of the overall 15% cut in pay for all tax collectors. Following term, and I think that this had been done kind of deliberately at that time in anticipation that the per capita bills were going to be going away, because there are many more per capita bills than there were real estate bills. And with that coming upon us, then that would have meant an additional cut in pay to us, would have been overall a 60% cut in pay. Fortunately, we appealed to the commissioners at that time, and they changed the pay from $1 bill to $2 bill. So that was at least, so instead of having a 60% cut, we had a 30% cut from, I'm using 2009 as the base year because that was when the last year was the commission basis. Going forward from that to the following term, we did a presentation and showed you that, you know, how hard we've been hit, the hardship that's being placed on us, the fact that we're collecting significantly more revenues for it. You know, and as a matter of fact, in 2020, the revenue collection was up 41%, and yet our pay compared to 2009 was down, according to this, 6.44%. I want to talk more about that. So I'm thinking, all right, how can we, what's a good way of looking at this? And then I said, because I saw some articles about county officials getting pay raises, you know, over the years. And so I was able to get a hold of the information for salaries for a lot of the row offices, yourselves included, for 2009 compared to what's going to be in 2021, and it shows a 26% increase. So last term, we had asked for 11% for the first 2 years and 11% for the second 2 years, which of course is 22%. So I think, all right, here's our 22, and your 26, then it would be reasonable to ask for 4%, the difference between those two. And that's basically what we're asking for. The more I'm looking at these numbers, it dawned on me that the shortages or decreases compared to 2009 are actually understated, because the compensation that's shown here includes payment for bills for new properties that have been built, new parcels throughout the county. So as a result, payment is pumped up. I'm not comparing apples to apples here. When I look at compensation for 2020 to 2009, because there are many more parcels that have been added. I looked at Hampton Township just from 2009 to 2020. Yeah, 2020. We have over 500 more parcels. Deb Wees in Silver Spring is growing like crazy down there. That same period, she had 1,800 more parcels. So,
Wow.
exactly how many difference there is, I can't say. I did have some numbers back to, I think it was 2011, giving me that detail, but I didn't have a chance to put them together for presentation here. So I had numbers from 2011 for Hampton Township only. And in looking at that and analyzing from 2011 to 2020, I analyzed it, compared it to the base year of 2009. 2020, if I do that, I'm still looking at 19% less pay in 2020 from 2009. So obviously, there's, you know, an inequity in here. And especially when you consider how much more money we've been collecting for you, you know, just of course the taxes, well, not on the taxes have gone up a bit, but also you have all those more parcels that you're collecting on as well. I think my narrative, one thing, as I'm looking at this and thinking about this and talking to some people, the statement was made, well, you guys must have been getting overpaid to begin with in 2009. I thought, well, geez, I wonder if that's true. Fortunately, there was that legislative budget committee study I had mentioned earlier. And they had the table in there, and I had it in my package that I sent to you folks, showing So there's different ways of collecting throughout the state. So for those counties that were collecting on a per bill collected basis, the average payment made to tax collectors was $2.13 a bill. And that was back in 2008, before 2009. So 2008, average was $2.13. In 2010, 2 years later, we're being paid $1. So the disparity started, right out of the gate, and has been going on ever since. I think the 4% that we're asking for is more than reasonable. Actually thinking we should double it. So this is what I had. And I did get a chance to study other numbers. I was having a problem getting a hold of other numbers. Matter of fact, I was still trying to get a hold of how many total real estate bills there were in 2009, but I haven't been able to get that data. But I did my work here to find I had something from 2011. And so basically, if you look at that 6.44% I have under tax year 2020, that is definitely understated, and that should be anywhere from at least 11 to 15%. And I'm saying that because not comparing apples to apples thing, because of the number of parcels that have been added over the last 11 years.
So Mike, what you're asking for is 4% increase for 2022 through 2025.
Yes.
Is that per year or for the whole period?
Actually, it's for the whole period, but
Okay.
with the way that the numbers are here, I guess it really wouldn't be out of the question to say it should be for each year, but I won't go back.
Your compensation is solely on the number of bills you collect,
Yes.
which right now is $2 a bill.
No, but after the last term, it's now 246.
That's right, we moved it up. Well, that's right.
And I put this together as, because I'm trying to figure out an approach, what would be a way to come up with something that would be reasonable. And I came up with this, and I ran by Debbie and Deb Loophole, and, they like the approach on it. I can't help but think that maybe we should be asking for more, but I'll leave it at the 4%. And I think it would be, well, in my opinion, food taste to come back and ask for more after submitting this to you guys. And by the way, I don't get anything out of this. I am no longer an accountant tax collector. I had to step down. So, some family things going on.
I think you under asked also.
Well, you folks would be receptive to, resubmission on this, and I just wanted to get everybody thinking on this.
Mike, I get a question, and please don't take it personal, but I get questioned a lot, not recently, but over the years. Is the tax collector job a full-time job?
The problem, what people see is the office hours that they have. But they're not aware of the backroom operations that are
Right.
going on. They're not aware, I don't know how much time I spent, all right, towards the end here, they're getting down to the wire, getting the bills paid, and I'm going out knocking on doors saying, I can't take a check right now.
Right.
I need certified funds, or you made an error in your check, so, and that's not unusual for me to be doing that, and several of the others do the same thing. And
What, Deb wants to, Deb has something to add.
We work full-time. The office hours don't really show, as Mike said, what we work. And especially this last year, I cannot stress enough how much extra most of us work. We were not able to have office hours in person, but because of that, I made sure I was available almost 24/7 for phone calls and for drop-offs. And I met people in the driveway, I met people at local parks to get their taxes. This was a tough year for everybody, but every year, behind the scenes is what takes the time. For example, right now, we're all trying to balance out, and I've already been working about 12 hours on that, printing things and getting things ready for the holiday. That doesn't show as hours to the public, but it's there. And I just also wanted to say that in our compensation, I think most of you know, we don't get paid benefits. So we have no medical, we have no sick days, we have no, we pay for our office expenses, and that's all gone up too. So that's all I wanted to say, thank you.
Thanks, Debbie.
So how many hours do you think, and maybe you know this for sure, you put into responding to title agencies and mortgage companies and those kinds of things?
Well, it's gonna vary from tax collector to tax
Okay.
collector. For example, Hampton Township is the largest township in the county. Deb Weiss, I think, she has what, maybe 3/4?
If we said there's no life anymore,
How many, real estate bills do you have, Deb?
like, 8,500, somewhere around there.
So 8,000, I have
But-
about 12,000. So everybody's, so the smaller ones, you know, yeah, they're not gonna be working 40 hours a week.
But talking about working with mortgage companies, because I've had, as Mike told you, I've had 1,800 additional bills in the last years. I'm getting sometimes at least 100 new bills a month. Those new bills are what takes time, because you send the bill to the homeowner, they don't know what it's for, they call, then their spouse calls, then you're on mortgage, you talk to their mortgage company 100 times, and you don't get paid. You don't get paid if that bill gets paid. So there's one person that I spent over 10 hours when I was with his mortgage company trying to get that bill paid, and it still wasn't paid as of last Thursday. So I got nothing.
Yeah, answering phone calls, and especially with the elderly and the property rebate. You know, we're always trying to explain it to them, helping them with it. I've gotten the forms from Senator Regan's office to have them to these people. I had one guy stand at my counter just almost begging me to please do the return form. Wait, here's what you gotta do.
It's not that hard.
But it's just, you know, you get a lot of time spent on things like that. People coming in needing receipts because they're doing their taxes, and they have questions on taxes. I'm a retired CPA, so I'll answer someone for them, but I really, you know, shouldn't be going there, to be honest. But we get a lot of extra things like that. And if you're, you know, I have the information for them, I'll help them with it. So, but-
Yeah, no, when I think about our local tax collectors, it's like one of the last places that the neighborhood, you know, like you know the neighborhood, right? You know everyone. It's like one of those, it's almost like the corner store, right? It's, that's what I think about it, about that role.
Yes, we have the most contact with the residents, taxpayers, and, so.
Mike, just so I'm clear, you're asking for a 4% increase from the current rate.
Yes. Yes.
And that will be applied for years 2022 through 2025.
But if,
But this, is that what your request is right now?
yes,
Yes, thank you.
but if you're not opposed to it, and I'm talking to, because we really have, it's been very difficult for me to get focused on one, because the reason I had to leave the job, there's a lot of things going on. So I didn't really get to sit and go over things with Debs, and that's what I call them, the Debs.
The Debs.
So, and if you're not opposed to it, you know, want to change it for any particular reason, because it is low. And it really hit home to me as I was sitting, working on some other numbers on it, especially when I came up with the fact that, you know, I'm 19%, technically, I'm 19% lower compensation this past year than 2009. So, yeah, but everybody's different because of the way the whole thing changed for everyone.
I'll just offer a couple of thoughts. And I've been here long enough that I was here when the changes were made, and I don't think, I would say, we didn't handle it particularly well. I think the commissioners got some very bad advice.
The devil needs to do it.
What's that?
The devil needs to do it.
The Prince of Darkness.
Beelzebub.
Beelzebub. It's an inside joke if you weren't. Yeah, there was a concerted effort to frankly stick it to you guys. I think it was, the commissioners eventually realized that we had a certain element of the bureaucracy that was intent on essentially driving you guys out of business. So, and it was a few years until we revisited it in a manner that really, I think, was illuminating enough that we made the change. But it does leave you further behind, no doubt about that. I mean, the proposal in front of us is acceptable to me. I think if we're going to talk about changing that, maybe the time is right also. I wouldn't mind if we would get some additional input, maybe from the finance director, because I'm not remembering all the exact history. This is nice, this is a very good document, but I think also that maybe we should be starting to consider, rather than having the tax collectors have to come back here hat in hand every few years to appeal to the board of commissioners who on any given day might be surly enough to just say no to anything. Not that I would personally ever experience that, but you know what I'm saying? It's kind of a haphazard. It'd be nice if we had something a little more systematic, you know?
A formula.
So,
Yeah, it's a formula
or a
with a
system
policy, yeah.
that says, you know, every so many years we're gonna review certain numbers or whatever. So it's a little less kind of,
Well, yeah, that's why we're so different than, you know, all the roll offices and everything else, was because of that whole 2009, 2010 thing.
yeah.
So,
I think we need a little more guidance. I'm fine with this. If we wanted to do more, then I need to think about that a little bit more. I'm not saying it isn't warranted, but I think part of that whole experience is we really did learn some of the maybe lesser tangible advantages of having local tax collection done and the value of it to our communities. I will say, jumping off of what Vince said, I still get some inquiries in regards to the office hours and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And there's, some people are frustrated with that. And, I did receive a note just a few weeks ago from a local attorney who was complaining that a particular municipality that I will not name has the tax office closed from January 20th through March 1. And that the tax certifications that they need to do real estate are not the kind of thing they can ignore or necessarily plan to go far in advance for. That creates a significant dislocation for that industry to have to function smoothly. So, there are some difficulties. There's some validity, I think, to some of the complaints about the hours and such. But the law is also very clear that there's a lot of autonomy granted to tax collectors. So we're not in a position to mandate anything, but I think it would be nice if we could maybe have some discussion about certain standard of service that would alleviate some of these situations that are often driven just by one or two independent decisions. And granted,
yes,
it would require a cooperative approach, but we do still get some of these things. And I think that the fact that some tax collectors function in that manner undermines some of the existing public goodwill in terms of maintaining the system that we have or improving the system we have without gutting it, without eviscerating it. So,
I can see where some of them have such limited hours because they're only having, 1,000 or 2,000 bills
Yeah.
a year that they're doing.
Sure.
but nonetheless, they should still, I agree, Carl, they should still be available somehow to provide, you know, for tax certs, that sort of thing.
Over a
Debbie
month.
has something to add, please. Go ahead.
Yeah, Debbie, go ahead. Is it Debbie 1 or Debbie 2? I haven't been made clear.
I'm Debbie one. And settled out that, in other things, I'm Debbie one. I just wanted to say, we now have 2 people in the county who are on the state tax collectors board. I was moved up from district rep to vice president, and Jen Garner was moved to my district rep. So we have a little bit of arm twisting that we want to do. Because I'm not one to tell somebody how many hours they should work, but I do feel that they need to, or be open, I mean. But I do feel that if you're not open, then you have to have an answering machine and respond quickly. I make it my goal to respond within 24 hours. It's usually within 5 hours, but that doesn't always happen. And even when I go on vacation, I take my laptop and I may be in the middle of the Pacific Ocean doing tax service. So I have never let my constituents or people down, but I know that not everyone follows that. So I do think that we can be a little more proactive, coercive, whatever, urging people to respond a little quicker in those situations, because I don't like having a bad name because of what somebody else does or doesn't do.
Yeah,
So
good.
I have a hard time with that.
The way the law's written, of course, it really, I think, is good that the association tries to work among itself to find solutions to make sure that the public's receiving the service that they deserve. So I applaud your effort on that. This is a separate issue. I mean, the compensation is the compensation, so we do need to address this. So thank you for indulging me on that issue. I did want you to know we do get occasional public comment, and surprisingly, not surprisingly, I guess we hear about the things people are unhappy about, and we tend to hear a lot less about the things that people are happy about. So we certainly take that into consideration. I think we're blessed with some really excellent local tax collectors in this county, and we haven't always been mindful of that. We have not always recognized that. So with that said,
I'm not sure how to raise my hand about one of them. I just wanted to say, for the most part, what we do for our meetings, we do check in with Robin and the assessment office to see what there is that we need to address when we do have our meetings. And she, everybody who knows Robin knows she doesn't mince words. So, and we do take that to the group and try to work harder. So I just wanted to put that out there. Thank you.
okay, that's helpful. I just have a question for Deb Loophole. Debbie, how do you feel about being Debbie number 2? And do you have the option? Will you ever have the option to become Debbie 1? Is it competitive?
Well, no, listen. In one of our other groups, I was Debbie 1, and she went up and told the person that made me Debbie 1 that she wanted to be Debbie 1. So Debbie number 2.
Okay.
So I can remain Debbie 1 AAA.
There you go.
Tell them what group that is, Debbie.
Well, now you know how to tell them.
We belong to a Dark Shadows group.
Oh my gosh.
Dark Shadows? Yeah, well, we're in that.
But I lost Debbie 1 to that group.
Okay. All right. Well, good to know. Well, thank you both for being here today, and
Thank you so
thanks for
much.
your service. I know you feel like among the upper level of our quality local collectors, so we'll try to do right by you here.
I want to thank you guys.
So, thank you.
For, I finally feel, and starting out, it was definitely a field of animosity and whatnot. But then as years have gone by, I really felt, that we're working together.
Yeah.
That we can help you anyway. I mean, what you were wondering what to do with the whole COVID thing, about discount or penalties and extending periods and stuff like that. It was a tremendous help to us for you to ask our input on that.
Right.
saw what was involved in the decision you had to make, so, you know, and it was kind of rewarding to see that, hey, we're finally working as a team on this thing, so.
Of course,
We appreciate it.
bells and whistles going, so that helps too.
Well,
Yeah. Well, I mean, the public was very thankful to the commissioners for that break.
Are we going to stay with March and April discount and May and June this year? Or is there talk of changing it? Because if you're changing it, it would be wonderful to have it correct on the bill.
That is something to
We
consider.
haven't discussed yet.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
you're thinking ahead of us, which I'm not surprised at, but, it's a good point. I think we all assumed that, 21, we would hopefully be free of this, and, we're not quite as fortunate as that we can assume that that things aren't anywhere back to normal, so.
for the bills to come out saying one thing and you have a different policy.
Yeah, it causes problems,
That's a good point.
definitely.
Yeah,
That was a nightmare.
what's that?
That was a nightmare. We got
Yeah.
hundreds of incorrect payments that we had to take care of.
No doubt. Let us put that on our radar here to begin actively addressing, before the calendar slips away too much.
You know, and when do they have to go to the printer?
Well, they get sent out March 1st, so they're going to printer in early February.
Yeah, so
Early February.
we have to move sooner rather than later.
Yeah, that's good to know. Okay, well, that's on our radar, and we will be back in touch with you on that. Obviously, there's an element of guesswork involved in that, just because of the situation being so unpredictable right now. But yes, we'll continue that dialogue, thank you for that. So, I guess, bringing it back to the topic at hand, I would like it if we could engage Dana a little bit, our CFO, so that we get any input from her.
Oh, there she is.
First-
Look.
Hey,
Look, Dana.
but you're,
Aren't you off today?
aren't you off? Yeah.
Today's your first day back.
Oh, your first day back?
All
Okay,
right.
well, welcome.
Thank you.
Did you receive any of the documentation yet, Dana, from the request?
I have what's attached to the meeting notes.
Okay, I'm sure you haven't had a chance to look at it yet, so, if you want to offer anything now for us, that's fine, or if you want some time, that's fine as well. We have a little bit of time before we do anything concrete. But I don't know if you heard much of the meeting, but we did, discuss perhaps coming up with something a little more systematic in terms of this review.
And I have some ideas,
Okay,
so I will reach out to Robin and get, the background information that I'll need, and I'll pull together some numbers and send them out to the board of commissioners.
okay,
Systematic is usually percentage, or based on CPI. So there's a couple options.
Yeah, that's the problem because of Beelzebub. That doesn't, it's a different calculation, a different matter here. That's part of the problem. But one thing I would ask that you do, because some of my numbers here are estimates. I couldn't get actual numbers. If you know, look at them, if you could say, hey, here's the actual from your records in here, I appreciate that. There was even something here that I had to laugh at when I saw it, because I have the compensation for the first year is $252,758, and yet there was a schedule that I got that from the county back in 2009, and their number was about $600 difference, 252,131. And I'm wondering, how in God's name did I get this number when that was there? So I don't know if there was a revised number came here or what, but it was only $600, but I'm thinking, and nobody spotted it, so. But it,
It can be the library also, because we do some accounting changes in our office to allocate expenses to the right place.
That's why I'm thinking it was just an updated figure I got from somewhere, but I can't find it in my record.
okay, so
It's in material.
Dana's gonna look at those numbers and, discuss with Robin some options as well, and then we can get back to you guys and and see what you think of the options we have. And the commissioners have to make a decision on this by when is it?
February 15th, correct?
Well, yeah, it has to be in place by February
By
Okay,
resolution.
so we got a little bit of time, yeah. All right, I think that'll be,
Yeah, and I'll talk to the devs and stuff, I mean, if they want to revise, you know, what we have here themselves, and would you guys be opposed to entertaining anything else from us? Would you be okay with that?
I think, you know, you can certainly ask, and I wouldn't presuppose to give an answer until we have a little more analysis,
Yeah,
of course.
I understand.
But certainly, no one's gonna fault you based on where this stands. Nobody's gonna fault you if you wanna revise this. We'll certainly consider it. Can't-
Yeah,
can't
this
do it.
is kind of a, you know, quick get it done sort of thing. So.
Yeah, okay. So is that, anybody else have anything they wanna put on the table for this? All right, so then you're gonna discuss with your people, whatever, okay. But I think Deb too wants you to talk to her first. And then, you know, okay.
I'm okay with that.
All right, Mike, do you want anything additional? I think we got a plan in place to get some of this together. We'll certainly stay engaged with you guys.
Yeah,
Anybody have anything?
No,
Appreciate that.
Mike, thanks for putting this together.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies, for your input.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here today. And we'll head back to our agenda here. I don't think we have a whole lot more, but we'll probably be done by the time you get out the door. Feel free. We're used to people walking out of us, so.
Oh, bye. And we folks stay safe.
You too.
You too.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Stay in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, so we have, did anyone have anything else they want to put in regards to the topic discussion, item 3? If not, we'll move on to item 4, which is the other business to come before the commissioners on any topic that's timely. So do we have anything additional that needs our attention? Okay. We always open the floor for public comment. So at this point, we have the public comment. Is anyone waiting to participate? Okay, nothing additional from my colleagues or from staff, so I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Thank you all today.